There's a very popular venue in my city that you must book a year and a half in advance at least if you want a good date. I put down a non-refundable deposit on the venue about 1 year ago. My ex-fiancée had her heart set on that place and had her wedding pictures done there. I would have done anything to please her. She did not reciprocate. In fact, she had intimacy with her ex about a month after I put down the deposit. I tossed her and her crap out of my house. I spoke with the venue and they wouldn't return my deposit. Reasons don't matter. Non-refundable is non-refundable. I admit I was a little petty here and I asked how long I had to put down the rest of the fee. I decided to wait until the last minute to cancel or even see if I could work with a wedding planner to transfer the date. As luck would have it, I ran into a woman I'd briefly dated and it had just not worked out due to her taking a job out of province. I asked her out for coffee and we caught up. She'd just moved back to her old company. She's an only child and hates being far from her parents. She got a bigger raise by leaving her employer, moving away for 2 years and then coming back than she would have if she'd just stayed local. It was such an easy conversation and we basically started dating immediately. I was 100% honest and told her I'd just dumped my ex about 2 months earlier and why. She said she understood and had thought about me a fair bit while she was gone. Long story short, she is who I belong with. Her parents are like me, my parents love her. She isn't perfect and I'm far from it myself, but both of us are willing to talk stuff out and compromise. I asked her to marry me about 6 months in. She said yes. Obviously, she brought up the venue since she's always dreamed of getting married there. She said she didn't want to wait long to get married. I jokingly mentioned that I already had a reservation for that venue for next June as she wanted a spring wedding. She freaked out briefly because she thought I'd booked it when we started dating. I explained why I had that reservation and she calmed down. The next day she approached and asked if we could look at the venue together. We invited our moms and we went for lunch and a tour of the venue. All three of them were crazy about it. We're getting married next June on the date and at the place where I was planning to marry my ex. We did tell our parents, but only them. My ex found out about my engagement. We still have mutuals and she lost it. She started to contact me about how I was trying to hurt her by doing this and how I'm so petty. I block her on anything she contacts me. I talked to my fiancée and we agreed to get married elsewhere if my ex bought the deposit off of me. We met her for coffee and offered to let her buy the deposit. It is a substantial amount and I was initially going to be out of pocket. We figure if she doesn't really want us to get married there, then she can bite the bullet and pay the deposit, and after that it's not our problem. She refused. She said I put down the deposit, so it was my problem. I agreed and told her that we would be having our wedding there and to leave us alone. She's been having a breakdown ever since. She's constantly on social media complaining about it. It doesn't affect us, but some of our mutual friends have said that it's an idiotic move. She's threatened to cut off anyone who comes to the wedding. I told everyone I fully appreciate their position and would accept their RSVP in the negative. Am I the idiot for getting married at a venue I booked for my wedding to my ex? Not the idiot. Unless they want to pay the deposit, they can shut the heck up. Weddings are insanely expensive and the fact that you're lucky enough to have a beautiful venue to marry someone you're truly in love with is amazing. If anyone has any issues with it, they can talk with their wallets. Exactly, it's not OP's fault that his ex likes having intimacy with other dudes. OP, your ex lost any and all rights to complain and have input on this situation when she cheated. Sounds like karma to me. Congrats on your engagement. I just love how the ex is now the wounded one. You were honest with the ex and your fiancé. You were generous by offering to let her buy the date back. She could have thrown any party she wanted there that day. Ex can go suck lemons and vent on social media until her fingers turn blue. However, it's kind of hysterical. I hope you're not rushing into marriage just because you don't want to be out $10,000 or whatever the deposit was. Best of luck. My wife Anne and I have been married for several years. We were high school sweethearts. We were having a rough patch in our marriage and I suggested doing some fun bonding activities to get the spark back. She agreed but kept complaining about the activities. We went camping and she developed a full body rash. She ended up going to the hospital with sepsis after she came into contact with some bad bacteria. My friend Seth came to drive us to the hospital and he stayed with her when we both got checked out. I got sick too and Seth checked up with Anna daily because I asked him to. The meds and the infection made her a bit delirious and she kept asking for Seth, which is funny because she didn't like him before. She wanted him to stay for hours a day and he did. She's recovered for about 3 weeks now and still calls up Seth if she needs to go to the hospital or even just wants a friend to talk to. We found that excessive and I told him to hang up on her or block her. He said he wouldn't do that because it was rude and he could see why our marriage was failing. That was really uncalled for, in my opinion. Am I the idiot? I was just offering suggestions. Edit, she tripped and cut her leg. We tried to wash the wound out with water, but I guess our filtered water bottle didn't do the job. You've got to be kidding with me, this one. When I read that she was complaining about camping, I thought, okay, I can see that would be annoying since you were already camping and don't want more complaints on top of it. But when I read she was hospitalized with a full body rash and sepsis, which could have killed her, dude, I agree with Seth. I can see why your marriage is falling apart. Hint, it's you, and you are the idiot. Great way to get tetanus. Looks like you did a really poor job preparing for the camping trip if you didn't even have a simple first aid kit. And how long did you write off her complaints about camping before you went to the hospital? You don't go from feeling fine to needing a hospital that quickly. How long did you write off the rash before taking it seriously? This isn't a tale of, oops, all Seth now. This is a tale of neglect until someone actually cared about her. Sepsis is no joke, and it's disturbing how OP seems not to care about his wife's health. Pal, your marriage is most likely over. Your wife almost died. Seth was there with her, you weren't. They bonded over the experience. She prefers his company to yours. Oh, I wonder why. And here you are doing your best to destroy their friendship. Not to improve yourself, not to work on your relationship with her, apparently, not even communicating with her. No, just going behind her back and trying to destroy the relationship, which you see as competition, no matter what impact that might have on your wife. Yes, I see why your marriage is failing. You are not going to save it by isolating her from other guys. My 27 female cousin, 26 female, and her fiancé, 26 male, are supposed to get married around spring. They've been engaged for 2 years. Cousin has been living with us since she was 3 after her parents passed away. I love her dearly as my younger sister, and I support her in many of her decisions, except for this marriage. I feel like my cousin is rushing into things and ignoring that they're not financially stable. Neither of them has a job, and while she's in a PhD program, they're living off some of her research funds. It's not enough to make a living. They're currently residing in an apartment that his parents are paying for. To be fair, I never approved of their relationship, even when they were dating, and I haven't softened up on him yet. I've been vocal with her about wanting them to break up their relationship, and now they're engaged. I find him obnoxious and rude, and he's made some unnecessary comments that still boil me. For instance, when we invite them for dinner, he makes snarky remarks about my wife's traditional dishes. And no, we've never forced them to eat any of them. Those were more for my wife than for them. But he compliments everything I make, even something as simple as coffee. And he keeps telling me I'll make a good man happy one day. It's infuriating that my cousin ignores this. His disrespect for my marriage is the reason for this whole situation. With the wedding on the way, he introduced me to the other funder, his relative. We hit it off right away. We're close in age and share similar interests, so we bonded well. But I started to notice that my brother-in-law was behaving oddly. For instance, he would try to give us space to be alone or hint that we were a natural couple. I had to tell the other person that I had a wife, and what he told me in return shocked me. Brother-in-law has been going around telling his family that I'm getting a divorce because my wife cheated. The sheer audacity of this man baffled me. I left and withdrew my funds without saying a word to anyone. After cooling down, I informed the couple, my wife, and my parents of what I'd done and why. My cousin called me crying and begging for the funds, but I told her no. If she can't afford a wedding, then don't have one. My brother-in-law has resorted to calling me names and is getting his parents involved in it as well. My parents are okay with it, as it's my money. But my wife, although she's angry with what brother-in-law did, doesn't support my actions. She's worried about my sister. Whether I withdrew the funds or not, they wouldn't get married and stay family with us, which would only cause a rift with my sister. While I understand her point, I don't see why I should support the marriage of someone who doesn't respect mine. So am I the idiot for withdrawing funds because my future brother-in-law slandered my marriage? Not the idiot, he sounds awful. Given how repeatedly disrespectful he's been, I think you've every right to refuse any funds. It could definitely cause a rift with your cousin, but I personally think that it would be better than enabling the situation. Rifts can be resolved over time if they occur, but enabling bad behavior is tough to crack, and your brother-in-law needs to face the consequences for his actions. And why were you funding it anyway? And he's so darn disrespectful of your wife, I wouldn't allow him into my house and I wouldn't go to their wedding. Use the money to go on a nice holiday instead. This man is abusive and really, really dumb. He let his colours show too early. He should have waited till you'd paid before he so grossly insulted you. Will they stay family? So what? I go low contact with anyone who supports him. I'm a bit worried about your wife defending him. I don't understand how your sister can stand idly by and watch you and your wife be treated this way. Does she respect your wife? If you and your wife are truly set on helping your sister out, you both sound incredibly generous, maybe the wedding money could now be relabeled as helping her get back on her feet when this inevitably crashes and burns money. One of my brothers adopted a tween boy 20 years ago, my nephew, who we'll call Kyle. Kyle was fine at first, but then he started acting out. He yelled at us and told us we were not his family whenever we tried to talk to him or include him in something. Once, when he was 16, I invited him to watch a movie with me, and he started screaming at me to leave him alone, telling me I wasn't his uncle and never would be. This continued in his 20s, and once he was 21, he went no contact with all of us and asked us to leave him alone. Later, we heard he changed his name and surname because he didn't want to be considered one of us. I must admit that these last years without him have been really nice and drama-free, and we all enjoyed it. A few weeks ago, Kyle decided to reach out to his parents asking to be a part of the family again, which is cool, I guess. The problem is that he'll hardly talk to any of us or even answer any questions when we try to talk to him. It's exhausting, and I'm so sick of his behaviour I just wish he'd leave again. He's always sulking in a corner and not talking to anyone is considered an effort now. Even his parents are tired of his crap. So, a few days ago, when we were all together, we wanted to take a family photo. We took a photo with all of us, and then I asked Kyle to step out of the picture so that we could have a family picture without him. Of course, he started yelling at me and calling me names, but he's made it clear multiple times that he's not one of us, and I just wanted a picture with my real family. So, am I the idiot? I'm going to assume that Kyle's circumstances were difficult, like even tragic, given that he's adopted, and whilst that doesn't give him a free pass for the rest of his life, it does warrant special consideration. And so, you've got a young child, taken into care, adopted into a new family, who then acts out. Shock horror. Who would have thought such a thing might ever happen? And now you, the then adult, have carried that grudge, first fostered against a 10-year-old child, into the present day, and exclude him from presumably the only family he has. That makes you the idiot, and suggests that you have a serious deficiency in empathy. I disagree, everyone's the idiot. Him always sulking in a corner and not talking to anyone is considered an effort now. Even his parents are tired of his crap. Dude is 30 years old, not 15 anymore. If he's being irritable and passive-aggressive, I fully understand people being fed up with it, especially after trying to interact with him. Nobody comes off great here, but at the same time, I understand that it isn't an easy situation for any of them. Not the idiot. If he was still 10 or even 20, I'd say it's an idiot move, but he's a full adult at 30. He should be aware enough to recognise that you can't treat people like crap for over a decade and then expect every one of them to welcome you with open arms immediately when you just announce you're going to stop being an idiot. His reaction shows that he doesn't accept any of the natural consequences of his behaviour. He only blames others and attacks them for not giving him what he thinks he's entitled to. I've said it before and I'll say it again. To have family, you gotta be family. He hasn't acted as family to you by his own free choice as an independent adult and not just a moody child. I, 27 female, recently returned home from studying overseas. During that time, my half-brother Derek, 36, married Lily, 26 female, and had my nephew, young toddler. For your information, Derek's maternal family is wealthy. He's currently the head of their family business. I'm currently working for Derek, call it nepotism, but Derek gets a loyal, capable worker, and I get fantastic pay, which is totally a win-win. Lily is from a lower-income background. She used to work as a nurse before meeting and marrying Derek. After the birth of their son, her health plummeted, and she and Derek thought it best she was a stay-at-home mom. A few days ago, Derek asked me to pick up Lily from her aunt's house because her driver was sick. It was a baby shower for one of her cousins. I was asked to stay for a glass of drink, customary for guests in our culture, so I did. While there, I listened to all the young mothers talk about their experiences. One of the things they complained about was lack of sleep because their babies woke up around the clock. Lily was quiet until a cousin asked her how she coped with waking up at night. Only then did Lily admit never having to do that, as Derek hired a nighttime nanny for their son. The women went quiet for a bit before one exclaimed she forgot rich people do things differently. Another chimed in that Lily was missing out on bonding with her baby by having a nanny take over a mother's role. Another said Lily can't be lazy and relies on help or her baby won't recognize her. During all this, Lily's face went paler and paler, like she was having a panic attack. I also thought these women were just mean, so I excused Lily and said we were leaving. As I helped Lily collect her things, the first woman said Lily needed to cut down on relying on the nanny, or she would be a bad mother who doesn't know how to do anything for her baby by herself. I told the group that Lily is not a bad mother for having a husband who can care for her and doesn't want her to struggle with staying awake night after night. I then walked Lily out. In the car, Lily was worried that her cousins would be mad at her, making her next meeting with them awkward. I told Lily her cousins were jerks and they should apologize to her, not the other way around. Lily thanked me for looking out for her, but continued to look worried the rest of the ride. I told Derek about this and he agreed with me. Still, Lily did look really upset. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Those women were just mean. Even if their suggestion came from a good place, they could have been much gentler about it. As it is, it just seems like they were jealous of Lily's fortune and wanted to fill her mind with doubts and worries. You were a wonderful knight in a shiny car for your sister-in-law. Oh, they're jealous of Lily. I'm jealous of Lily. I would have loved a night nanny when my children were younger. If anything, it will help Lily be a better mother than she would be, because she's well rested. The family is jealous, as I am, but I think most of us would have had better manners and just be happy for her. You go, girl. Have Lily's back.